You're listening to WKDW Radio 97.5 and KDWRadio.com, broadcasting from the Bishop West Real Estate Mobile Tower right here in absolutely gorgeous Northport, Florida. I have an extremely special guest in the house, Laura Ansell with Parks and Rec of Northport, Florida. They do a great job, a bang-up job actually, of keeping our parks open and clean and ready for visitation. And I'm going to let her kind of kick it off here a little bit with some I think big news coming up. You've got some big events around the corner.
We do. We have quite a few. I mean, the next one headed our way is Discover Warm Mineral Springs Park Day. So for anyone who has been curious about the springs or, perhaps, didn't want to shell out some dough to go check it out and see if it's up their alley or not, August 14th is your day. Any Sarasota County resident can come, and it's our way of saying thank you and inviting people to come and learn more about the springs and about the park and about its future. And you can stop by. It's 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. You come in and make sure you have an ID or a utility bill, something showing that you're a Sarasota County resident, and you can come on in and receive complimentary admission. So, yeah.
And, I've had a lot of shows back and forth on Warm Mineral Springs as a topic, and I want to come at this a different way with you because I want to take the politics out because you're not involved in the politics side of it, but can you tell people why they should go check out Warm Mineral Springs and get their own idea and their own opinion of what Warm Mineral Springs is all about?
Sure. I mean, I think it's like anything else, right? If you've never been there, you've only driven by, you don't know what there is to experience and you don't know what it has to offer, right? Or you don't, you may not realize how many people are there and how many people do come and float unless you come and speak to the people who are visiting the place. So, I'd strongly encourage anyone who wants to kind of see the buildings and the state of the park and talk to the loyal patrons who go there day after day or, float in the waters for themselves. I think it's a great opportunity for anyone who has an interest in that aspect of our cultural heritage to go and take a dip for yourself. And, what better day than one in which you receive complimentary admission? I'll be there and I'll have a booth as well. So if people have master plan questions or questions about what all is involved with, the initial phase here of the building renovations, we'll have a map, we'll have the Warm Mineral Springs Park master plan there for people to peruse. We're happy to share the information and, it's been a very busy few months. We actually just got our initial numbers back and they're not audited yet, but it's looking like we've already surpassed attendance records on any year of which we've had it. We've had more than 118,000 visitors to that park this year, which is a phenomenal number. And we hope more people will come and see what it has to offer. So a side note, I do want to put out there, too, that unfortunately we did have some structural damage to the restroom facilities and the locker rooms due to Elsa when she passed through. And so those facilities are closed. We do have temporary facilities on site, but there are not showers. So, so that's something to just keep in mind. If you're coming out, we do have temporary restrooms. We do have those available for your use. But just be prepared to, bring your towel and take yourself home. The folks who are the loyal users will tell you you're not supposed to shower the minerals off anyway. You're supposed to let those absorb into your skin for them to do their work. So whether or not that actually does increase your odds of the healing qualities taking effect, I'll leave that to others to decide. So,
well, and we do have a lot of loyalty within the people who go to Warm Mineral Springs, correct?
We do. I mean, we're talking, 118,000 people coming to Northport to swim in the springs is not a small number. That's fantastic, especially when you think about the challenges we've had over the last year in terms of COVID closures and, other restrictions. And, like any park, ours is a natural outdoor body of water. And so we have had, you get a gator every now and then, so you have to close down and shoot away. And, you have different challenges like that. Also, we had a couple closings for a few days here because there was some flooding and the like. So, there's, it's not a small number, and I think it's impactful, and the history of what it brings to Northport and what it means. It's on the National Register of Historic Places for a reason. And I think it's important for folks to, go out there and learn more about it and learn more about the history and why it's an important archaeological site and why it matters.
Well, and I've been out there a couple times, been in once. It's not my cup of tea, but sure. I don't pick on anybody who goes out there, because it's definitely a different environment. It's not your lake, it's definitely a spring. You can tell the difference. It is beautiful. I've never felt like I was not taken care of out there on not only the visual side of things, but also the cleanliness of the park. And that's a lot to be said, because a lot of the buildings, and they just voted now to upgrade some of the buildings at War Mill Springs, which, anybody who's gone out there for the last 20 to 30 years knows that the buildings prior to weren't really kept to their most pristine situation. And with this new funding that's coming in, that should bring it up to speed and make it a lot nicer for the current members who go out there and visitors. What do you think the parks? I'm going to ask Parks and Rec, because I love you guys. You guys do a great job with the parks, and the city of Northport has done a really good job with the crew that they have in piecing it back together. You talked about Elsa kind of creating some havoc. I think we kind of got lucky that there wasn't more havoc created, just because of the lack of decades, not ownership decades, but decades prior to ownership, of really lack of care. Do you want to talk a little bit about that, and maybe how Parks and Rec has been managing the repairs and trying to keep everybody happy?
Sure. I mean, I think when you talk about these projects, I think people sometimes forget how long it takes to get to a certain point when
you mean they're not happening right now, right?
Yeah, exactly. It takes a long time. And, pretty much since the city took ownership of the park, the master plan was put into the process. So it's taken years to even get to this point. I mean, it took a year of developing the comprehensive master plan. That started on April 5th, when City Commission approved an agreement to develop the plan, right? And then a year later, April 9th, 2019, they adopted the master plan. And during that time, that was based on a lot of community feedback. There were sessions. We went out into the community. We went to the library. We went to War Mill Springs. We had stakeholder meetings all over. There was a survey. It was a huge comprehensive analysis of the site. And that's where the feedback came from. And, that's the blueprint, the draft of what it could be, right? And so we're excited to see that move forward. And anyone who is really interested in this project, we do have a landing page. I'll show it on it's the cityofnorthport.com. It's /WMSP master plan. There's historical documents there. You'll find, the U.S. National Register of Historic Places nomination. You're going to find information about the history of it. If you're looking for the financial data and all of that stuff, it's out there. So, we have this handy park fact sheet that I need to update now that we're moving forward with the phase 1. But it tells you really about everything that's gone into it. Now, so from the beginning, it was taken on and looked to, okay, where are we going with this, right? Because for more than 100,000 people, this is the first impression of what Northport is and what it has to offer and what it's all about. And it's been there for forever, right? It's been there longer than any of us, and it'll be there after we're gone. So, and I can tell you as a staffer, we have a lot of groups that come through, both local and otherwise, who take a tour of the facility. And I know this because I help conduct those tours and take them through and show them the park. But it's really what people associate with our city. We don't have a beach. We don't have some of these other attractions that some other locations do, but we have beautiful parks. And we have beautiful canals, and we have a beautiful setting and great people. And Warm Mineral Springs Park is part of that. And we're very proud of that heritage, and that's why we've worked hard to make sure it's listed on the Register of Historic Places. So you have to take all these, you take this very large project, right, and you have to break it into these little steps. And then each one of these steps, of course, is subject to the decisions and the direction of our leadership. And so we have to bring it forward and move along through the process. So, the park is beloved. There's a lot of people there. I know that it brings in quite a lot of visitation. That's proven by the numbers. And we're excited to see where it will go. The next phase here, we're hoping to go forward with, we hope to get that out to bid shortly after the staff development review is approved. And then we hope to have a shovel in the ground for phase 1 before the end of the year. And that involves, as you said, the 3 buildings, infrastructure, and parking lot updates mainly. So, but the springs themselves, they're beautiful. Nothing is happening. There's a radius around the springs that's protected and has been for a long time. And so that in itself is going to be maintained. I have seen a rumor out there that the springs will be closed, or perhaps some misperceptions that it will be, and it will remain open. The plan is to keep it open as we move forward through this process. So we're going to find a way to still accommodate the folks who need to get there, who enjoy utilizing the facility.
Well, and we're not talking about a small undertaking either. No. With the rehab, you're talking about buildings that virtually they've never been touched now, other than like piecing back together and maintenance wise, prior to someone else's ownership. Mm-hmm. So the city of Northport really took on these buildings with the county, and even during the last 5 or 6 years, it's really not had renovation, as we use that word in the housing industry or even commercial property industry. The renovation hasn't even happened yet. It's still just been Warm Mineral Springs as it's been known for decades.
Right. And we've been calling it a restoration, right? Because they are historically significant buildings. They are on the register. So it is a restoration of those buildings. But to bring them to the point where they need to be, these were built in 1959, right? So a lot of the building codes and the things that were in place at the time are not to the standards of which they are today. And so there are certain things, and we've experienced it over the years with some of the utilities not working as well out there, with the growth of our community and the amount of water that goes to that neighborhood and that section of the city. And so we've seen that over the years. And so we've had small patches and small fixes with things, to make sure that the utilities and the plumbing is working as it needs to, so we can continue to operate. But we haven't taken on the significant things because we have been working on this plan to make sure that when we do it, we're not just putting a Band-Aid on something. It's a fully realized plan to make sure that it's protected for generations to come, and for the, folks to continue to use and enjoy and visit.
Well, and we talk with, I have shows with Public Works, and they talk about the brilliance of their mechanics and all the decades of experience they have. And I don't want to use Band-Aid. Band-Aid is a really bad word. Because
it's been used a lot the last couple of years.
Yeah, well, and it's tough because, when I talk to Parks and Rec and Public Works about their staff, there's some bragging rights that go on because they keep, Public Works keeps the machinery running, keeps the cost of replacement down because their mechanics there are really well versed at what they do. Just like in Parks and Recs, you guys are used to running parks and keeping things going, but you're not really trying to keep a building from 1959 to current. In that status, that's a tough.
We're not architects and we're not engineers. So when you have a facility like that requires that level, you got to bring in the people who know what they're doing, especially when it's of such historical significance that it needs to be protected. So, because that takes another level of skill and expertise. So.
And I'm going to set you up for a nice side of this, is because there are two sides out there right now, and the beauty in both sides is that nobody's talking about the spring as as a bad place. There's just two sides of a topic right now that are out there. One that wants it to be more than a park, and one that wants it to be a park.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, I kind of look at both sides of it, and I've had the pleasure of having both sides on the show.
Sure.
And the beauty in having both sides of it on the show is that everybody can listen and determine what that function should be.
Yeah.
Ultimately, though, Parks and Rec, you guys are destined to, at least at this point, to kind of take care of the buildings and keep things going in the right direction. And you are the number one focus is the springs and the consumer. Correct?
That's correct. I mean, we're here at the service of the people, and we're here at the service of the parks in which we serve, and that's true of every facility we have. I mean, and I know every single one of my coworkers is very proud of what we do. And I would encourage anyone who perhaps wants to get familiar with that project to perhaps not just read the comments online, because I have seen a lot of this discussion happening. And unfortunately, there's a lot of misinformation out there or misrepresented facts, or perhaps folks who take a piece, but they don't realize the whole picture of what's gone into this. I mean, when I say this has been years in the planning, it really has been years in the planning. And so I would encourage people to go to that website and to download the master plan. It is a very large document, and you can see the feedback that we received from the community. I mean, we actually received an award for the outreach we did to get the community input on the plan that was developed and adopted by our city commission at the time. So, we tried to go through and make sure that we did it correctly and that we listened to the community. So I would encourage anyone who has not already to go visit that website. I can show it on the screen for anyone, and we'll read it out loud. So the folks who are watching can look at it. That's the website right there.
Nice.
There. Hey, you like my graphics?
Yeah, I do. I love it. It's perfect.
And check out the city. So for our listeners, it's cityofnorthport.com. It's /WMSP master plan. And there's information out there. We have the historical documents, the research that's gone into it. And if you have questions, of course, you can always call us 941-429-PARK. It's 941-429-7275. But I think that's helpful, and at the end of the day, we're here to serve at City Commission direction and at the discretion of our community. So, we look forward to it. So come out and see me. Discover Warm Mineral Springs Park free day for Sarasota County residents, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. I'll be out there. I hope you all will stop by and see me.
What day is it again?
It's August 14th.
August 14th.
August 14th. That's coming up. It's around the corner. So
it's less than 2 weeks away.
I know. I lost track. I'm coming back fresh off vacation, so I've lost all sense of time. I think we were just chatting about that.
The way my year's gone, I feel like it's December already.
I can't believe how fast the summer has gone by for us. So
it is absolutely crazy. I want to throw out there that if the challenge is go to Warm Mineral Springs, I think you should go to multiple parks and check them out.
Yes.
We've thrown this challenge down a couple times around throughout the couple years that we've been doing this now, and I wanted to talk about Warm Mineral Springs on top of that, but the beauty in having Parks and Rec involved with Warm Mineral Springs and having all this voting, and I think it's hot buttons, hot topics. I think it's good for the people of Northport to hear about Warm Mineral Springs, and I'm going to say this, and you can either back it up or not, whether you're on one side or the other, at least people are talking about Warm Mineral Springs to the point where a lot of people that are talking about it right now, a month and a half or 2 months or 3 months ago, didn't even know what Warm Mineral Springs was. Ask her about the newly formed Ad HOC committee for Memorial Park.
Okay, so I think Mr. English is talking about our Veterans Memorial Park committee. So we did form a Veterans
piece there, Chuck.
You get it?
All right.
Okay, sorry. I didn't know you
All right.
had. So we do have a ad hoc committee for the Veterans Park at City Commission direction. We were looking at moving or repurposing or soliciting feedback from our veterans community on how we would like to recognize and honor those who have served in our community. So we have an ad hoc committee that has existed. I believe there might be a few openings. Yeah, I can pull it up and find out. I can find out for you and let you know. I'll send it back to you.
Awesome.
But that committee is starting to meet this month, and they are going to discuss the potential Veterans Park. We know there is one existing that's over by the library, but we'd like to do something that is a little more accessible, has more parking, provides an area and a place where people can go and reflect and have the time that they need. So that committee is looking for members. So if anyone would like to be a part of that committee, if you're a veteran, especially from a different group in our community, you can go to our website at cityofnorthport.com. And if you just type in advisory board, you can apply to be a part of that committee if there are any openings. And city clerk's office assists through that process. So if you're just looking for more information or want to talk more about it or find out, what does it take? What are the qualifications? What do you need to do to qualify to be part of the committee and be approved? You can reach out to city clerk's office and they can help with that. So thanks for your question. That's a great question. Glad you asked it.
It is. And once again, the value of having a park like that to the city of Northport, I've gone to other cities and they are really, I think across America, we're finally waking up a little bit to the fact that we have a lot of people who are serving and who have served in the past that aren't recognized. I also believe that even in today's world, where everybody's really sensitive about things, they forget that sometimes our people are at war overseas and defending freedom. And we kind of put that on the back burner because we're all very comfortable here. And we don't have to think about it. But those of us who have served understand. I just didn't have any wartime under my belt, but I appreciate the fact that there's a large group of people that are defending us every day and helping others at that point to make the world a better place, hopefully. And I think us having a place to give them a place to go, even for some prayer, some appreciation, and the rest of the community. I think it's a great thing. Yeah. Punta Gorda has the Veterans Museum, and I've had them on the show, and it's that does a lot for their community.
Yeah. That's a great museum too. They've done a fantastic job. I know I have a lot of veterans in my family, and whenever they're visiting, we're always headed to that museum. It's a great, it's always good to commemorate your history and the folks who have stepped up when in times of need. So,
well, I think that sometimes we all forget that it's sometimes the little things, and I don't want to put any emphasis on the parks being little because we're not a little facility at all. We're quite large in comparison to a lot of cities, but the parks are a huge draw for us here. The different museums and types of things in Punta Gorda and Port Charlotte, that's a different draw too. We're just new. And I think people need to realize that the value of War Mill Springs is one side of it. The area of Atlanta Braves is another activity center that's going to be big. We've got some places though that are undeveloped. We've got parks that are kind of the hidden gems out in the States.
Well, and I think one of the things that people might not realize too is that we do benchmark ourselves in comparison to others across the country. So we do look at metrics, and metrics that we look at include things like how many acres of parkland do we have per resident, and how much do we spend to maintain those per parks, and how do we compare to others, and how many staff are we utilizing to do this type of work. And I'm happy to say that we're generally across the board performing very well. We do more with less people and fewer dollars than many systems and other park systems across our country. And so, and while we're currently right at where we need to be in terms of acreage available per resident, as we all know, our area is developing and growing very quickly. And so that is part of our ultimate park master plan is future parks, right? What's the acquisition of land, preserving some spaces, making sure that there are green spaces and outdoor activities and recreation available to people, because as we've realized even more so over the last year or two, that those are just so essential to our health and happiness and well-being as a community. And so we're working very hard and diligently at that. We have a great team who take a look at the land. We do have some land that is set aside for future potential park development, and hopefully we'll see what the future holds as we continue to go. But for folks who are looking for a current park and want to explore what we have to offer, I mean, we do have more than 400 acres of parkland, and you could go to cityofnorthport.com. It's /mylocalparks. And there's a great little feature there. You can do a drop-down search. It'll let you kind of filter it through. So if you're looking for like an outdoor basketball court, it'll kind of filter the list for you so you can see where those types of amenities are. If you're looking for pavilions, we have those available for rent. You can always go, they're great spaces for birthday parties, scout gatherings, whatever you have going on. We have those available. And you can also look in the back of our playbook. I can't believe we got this far, John, and I haven't mentioned playbook. Can you?
You're all right.
So I'm holding it. Oh, no, that is not the front cover. Those are my scribbles. So this is our playbook for anyone who's watching from home. It's our guide to all things parks and recreation. And for those of you who are listening, you can also find it online. It's cityofnorthport.com/playbook. It's a handy guide. It's going to take you through to the end of the year. So if you're wondering what city events we have coming up, if you're wondering where our parks are, page 36 in that is going to give you a full, there we are. It's going to give you a full list. It'll give you a map, and it even has little puppy dog paws so you can see which ones are pet friendly. So make sure to check it out. I had a great
kudos out to the Chamber of Commerce, because they have the playbooks right at the Chamber of Commerce. They will tell you everything that's going on in the city, and how to get to different locations. Yep. The one beautiful thing about Northport is we're pretty easy to travel in as far as the parks. I mean, I bet people could probably clear out all the parks in less than 2 days if they wanted.
I had someone just sent us a comment. I guess they right at the end of July, I think they were trying to get in a park tour day is what they called it. And I love this. I love that, a mother said, hey, you know what, I want to go and make memories with my kid. We're going to have a park tour day and go visit every park in a day. And so I guess she went to every single one and she took a picture at each one. And that's how they figured out which ones they love. And I just, that of course, as a park nerd myself, is near and dear to my heart. I'm just so glad that we have residents like that who are willing to go and do something like that and love to do it. So I'm hoping she'll send me, I asked for the pictures, so I'm hoping to see them and we can share them, but yeah, definitely doable.
We've talked about this in the past, and this was just during COVID and then thereafter. I don't know that the residents understand the work that goes into the parks, but in order to shut them down under the pandemic, you guys had to go through a huge undertaking. And then the amount of people that called in, I think it gave you a better perspective on how many people really counted on the parks.
Yeah. And I'd say that's true across the country from what we've heard, not just here, and from our residents, but also other, we don't just sit in a bubble and do what we think is the best thing for Parks and Rec. We talk a lot with other Parks and Rec organizations. We're CAPRA accredited, and that accreditation means that we are among the top 2% of agencies in the country for holding ourselves to a higher degree of accountability, standards, being responsible with taxpayer dollars. It's a whole list, and there's more than 250 standards and rules that we have to prove, not just do and say we do, but also prove to a team that comes and surveys us that we are doing, we're putting our money where our mouth is and doing what we say we're going to do. And that's quite an honor and quite a feat. And so we talk to these groups and associations, and I think that's something that we've heard others in our field, folks who are stewards of Parks and Rec agencies and organizations across the country have just seen a huge outpouring and a huge increase in the number of people who have realized how important parks are how important our green spaces, our recreational activities are to human health and happiness.
Well, I think that when you travel, like I did recently, the difference is I think because of COVID, people are looking at things totally different. They're looking at pool areas different than they did before because while COVID shut down a lot of pools, I think reanalyzing some of the moves that they made with COVID, they would have probably left the pool areas open because of the amount of chlorine that was out there. So that would have been looked at totally different. But people are looking at places to take their kids now in a different light than they did before. I'm not saying that the parks weren't being utilized before, but I think there's there's a more emphasized side of things now where people are trying to not stay separate, but they're trying to get back involved. And I think the parks is a more comfortable way to get started back to the ways of normal.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I think our national park system is seeing it as well. I mean, they've had a huge increase in terms of attendance and visitation. And I love that, if there's a silver lining in any of this, I love that people have been able to see that and realize the importance of it and get motivated to get back out there and get connected with our green spaces. And, we hope to see that ripple effect of people continuing to want to be involved and to utilize them and to protect them and to make sure that that's a priority in their lives.
Well, I'm going to approach this a different way with you because I think that I'm just a couple years older than you, so I can get away with this.
I think only like one or two.
Yeah, one or two. But it's that I think that we, as Americans, as citizens, we really pushed through COVID, and we found out one simple fact that I think we got out of practice of doing as a society, which was slowing down. We push through. We do a lot of things where we just push through. And we're working, we're doing extracurricular activities with kids, we're doing the sports things, we're doing extra teaching, we're doing music lessons or stagecraft or whatever they're trying to do. We're push. When all that slowed down, I think it made people sit back and realize, I've got my whole family here now. I've got them at home. I think that was the first eye opener that a lot of people had that didn't have that around them all the time because they were working, they were busy, they were working shifts, and different times. So you had parents that were now at home going, oh my gosh, I've got 3 or 4 kids and I have nowhere to take them. I have nothing at home for real true entertainment. And I think it's really kind of woke people up a little bit to, hey, maybe we should focus more at home. Maybe we should go camping more. Do different things that they were doing, as I did as a kid, but you kind of slide through, I think, as everything changes in society and there's a lot of pressure to produce. We went through a whole year of shutdown where people were trying to figure out, how do I succeed? And yet nothing is open, including the parks. You guys actually had to figure out different things to do. And keep the parks ready to reopen, and safe.
Yeah. I mean, and once we reopened, we had to figure out, because it was still early days, right? So the parks, the green spaces themselves, if I remember correctly, I believe it was about a month that they were closed here locally. But then once they reopened, we had these in order to reopen, we had to have a plan and higher cleaning and, more in-depth cleaning. It's not like they never get clean, but we're not going out there with a fogging machine, pressure washing playground equipment every day,
Right.
And so there was certain new things we had to learn. And, one thing I will say is I think as a team, that's kind of always the Parks and Rec life, right? Like it's never the same. It's never the same thing every single time. We're very, very good at adapting and thinking on our feet because anyone who has put on events, or anyone who has worked with children or run a summer camp or done a fitness. I mean, anyone who does that type of work knows that it never quite goes the way you think it's going to go. And so you have to be ready to roll with it and adapt with it and do what you need to do to make things happen. And I will say that, you know, I'm lucky. I work with a fantastic group of people who did that and made it happen. I mean, I'm very proud to work with them, and they figured out new things, from creating videos and content that's been utilized by other park and rec agencies and camps, to putting on a, you know, summer camp that was modified to, you know, I mean, if you look back over the list of things, it was a very, very busy year. It was a very challenging year, but, you know, there were a lot of accomplishments too that I think we can all be proud of.
Well, and I'm going to go back just a little bit, because, you know, you talk about playbook. The playbook for all the parks is fantastic. It's all about what's going on, what future marks, and you know, some past events too. They, you know, that get talked about in there because of dates that have passed. But you know, nobody had a playbook for COVID. The exit.
No, we were making it up as we went along, but we rolled with it.
and here's the thing: you talked about that group that's in the 2%. Did you have conversations, or not you, but Parks and Rec as a team? Were there conversations with that group trying to streamline?
Oh yeah, I mean, there were
in what was going on.
Sure, yeah, and if I understand correctly, you're talking about the CAPRA accreditation, like the NRPA. Okay, yeah, that's our National Recreation and Park Association, is what it is. And yes, there were. I mean, there were weekly video conferences with hundreds of people who would get on. And for, you know, aquatics, for example, there's an aquatics group out there who spoke specifically about the challenges of an aquatics facility, and, you know, and spoke about those challenges. There was ones that were about fitness centers and basketball centers, because when you think about the park system as a whole, you know, we're broken into our 3 divisions. So we have, you know, the aquatics division and the recreation, and then our park maintenance. And so in the NRPA, that group talks about things, because each of those have different unique challenges, right? It's not just one size fits all for every single one of those things. And so, no, they had several phone calls. There's a forum, online forum groups, there's chat groups, there's social media groups. And many of our folks were out there on these weekly calls saying, how are you handling this? Oh, hey, we just got these new mandates on, or direction on how we're supposed to handle this. And, you know, they had to very quickly adapt, or say, okay, that's a great idea. This group's doing this. This is how they're interpreting it. Let's put it together, and this is how we're going to proceed. And so there was a lot of that going on behind the scenes that people didn't see, but that was very much happening every single day.
And I bring that up because you know, we talk about COVID and turning the parks off and turning them back on. It's not as easy as flipping a switch.
Yeah, no, I mean, and they're not fenced, many of our parks, right? So, you know, and then you start talking about public green space and what's enforceable and what's not enforceable, and what, you know, so yeah, but I think at the end of the day, we've realized how important they are. We learned a lot of things along the way that I think we're going to continue to see. You know, even if COVID goes away, there's things we learned about accessibility and how we handle, you know, emergency situations that come up, that I think you know, will only be to our benefit in the future, so that we're just better able to serve the community we live in. So,
and I'm glad we're talking about it, because we keep, you know, every once in a while we get on this tangent and we talk about what has happened in the past. But
yeah,
I think a lot of times when you talk about the past, you're really talking about what's happening today.
Sure.
And because while things have changed, and you know, cleaning styles have changed,
yeah,
a lot of them have changed for the good.
Sure.
And they've just made things better. They have. It's not like it's extra work. It's now fine tuning certain things that you had to do, maybe a different machine or
sure,
you know, cleaning styles. But it's really protecting the citizens, not just from COVID, but all germs.
Yeah. Well, and I'll give an example maybe of this. It's, you know, when you talk about accessibility, you know, people aren't always able to come to an event. And so we found new ways to bring events to people with some of the live streams we were doing, and offering options, right? Multiple options. And that's something that I think people have appreciated. And now it's kind of becoming an expectation. And we're probably going to see that moving forward, you know, in finding ways in which we can continue to make things accessible and, provide options for people who wish to participate, but perhaps, for whatever reason, don't have the means to get to something in the way that you traditionally would. So,
well, listen, our population in Northport, while young, has an older population that is not really moving around as well. And all my life I've heard about the oh my gosh, it went away. Shoot, that quick. Oh my gosh, older population getting older. The babies,
the boomers,
baby boomers.
I don't know.
I was like, oh my gosh, it just went. I had that conversation all day, but the baby boomers are all my life I've been told in sales, they're when they hit this age, everything's going to go crazy. Well, I hate to say it, but they're hitting that retirement age now, and things are definitely going crazy in a different way, because the age of population that's retiring every day and leaving jobs is not being replaced the same.
Sure.
And COVID is going to have an effect on business, but it's having an effect across the board. And that's why I think we see more activity at the parks too, is because now our retired population is actually going back and enjoying the parks now, where they aren't working now. They're able to get out, the pickleball courts, the tennis courts, and different things like that are happening out there.
Well, one of the things I could join is our basketball league. So, so we do have a adult basketball league. This is co-ed, so men and women. And one of the things we just recently added is a 40+ division. So to your point of trying to provide, one of the things we try to do is to kind of really evaluate and gather feedback after every program, event, activity that we offer. We survey the attendees and we talk to our community. We do a survey once a year to ask people what they want to do, what they want to participate in. And some of the feedback we received said that there was some interest in playing basketball, but they didn't necessarily want to play with 20-year-old young bucks, who are out there ready to dunk on you. So we just this last fall had our very first 40+ division in our adult basketball league. We had a couple of teams and it went very well. So we're offering that again. And so we have a 39 and under division, and we also have a 40 and plus division. Registration is open right now for that. So anyone who's interested can stop by the Morgan Family Community Center. You can sign up your team, learn more about it. We have the registration packets there readily available, but it's a great time. They do a great job over there. I mean, it's fun to see them run around and play and do well. And so it's also a good way to connect with people. So
talk a little bit about the Morgan Center, because I brag about it all the time.
Well, honestly, good, me too. It's something we have in common.
I know it's really fantastic, and it's a great location along with the aquatic center, and it's to me that whole area changed as soon as they put the Morgan Center in it, and I kind of started with the middle school and the high school being over there close by, and that really kind of changed that whole outlook of that area. And as far as a park goes, it's really changed in the last 12 years, 13 years. That park has completely changed.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's beautiful. They have, the multi-purpose fields. We have a brand new playground there. If you haven't checked it out, the playground was moved and replaced. So it has brand new equipment right next to the aquatic center. We have lights out there. We have new shaded seating, and that's just the park, the fields around that are surrounding that campus. But the Morgan Center itself, I would strongly recommend, if you haven't already, haven't seen our community center, stop out. The George Mullen is closed yet this week. It's the very last week of summer camp. Can you believe that? It's summer camp has flown by. So the Mullen is closed this week, but it will reopen to the general public starting next week with its usual operating hours. And then the Morgan Family Community Center has remained open and offers, there's an indoor gymnasium in there. There's a fitness center. There's a dance studio. We have rooms that are available for rent. So if you have a meeting or an event, or you just want to have a nice space to host a baby shower or
baby shower, that's where always was.
Right. So, and it's, our team does a great job. We have a reservations team now that's come on with our interlocal ending, and they can walk you through of here's what you need. What kind of tables and chairs do you need? They do a fantastic job. And you know what, the prices are reasonable. So, whether if you're on a budget, there's membership options. So if you're looking for a fitness facility, they have a drop-in rate if you just want to come and try it out once. There's monthly options. There's 3-month options if you're like a snowbird and you're looking for something that fits your schedule. And there's also annual memberships, and from family, to individual. So lots of options there. We do offer a lot of different tiers of payment options. So we have like discounts for seniors. We have discounts for our veterans. We have a youth pass. And with school starting back up, it's always a good time. I always love to encourage our community who have teenagers to check out the Northport Drug-Free Youth Group. They meet at the Morgan Family Community Center, and any teen who joins Northport DeFi also receives a free complimentary Achieve Anything membership. And so that gives them access to the center. They can utilize the teen room that is there. And we have different activities and programs that we're always putting on for that particular group of kids as well. So I cannot say enough about them. They do a great job. They're a fantastic partner. And they have some membership drives, and I can see they're pulling them up. Nice. So there are some drives coming up. Thank you, Justin. So if you're curious about it, let me see here. I need my peepers there.
August 12th.
Thank you. Yes, August 12th, September. So there's really one day each month that's coming up that you can go and do the drive, or join as a member of DeFi and receive your Achieve Anything membership. So if you Google Northport DeFi, they have a phone number. You can make an appointment, and you can get in there and learn more. But otherwise, you can stop by and we'll give you a free tour. We'll tell you more about it. We're happy to see you. We got a great group of folks over there who are happy to always show off the place.
I would highly encourage everyone to go to the free Warm Middle Springs Day. And then
please come say hi to me. I need friends that day. Make the day go quick.
Center, check out the Aquatic Center. Just make it a water day and check out both facilities, because truthfully, just driving down Price Boulevard and pulling in and looking at what we have as a city, it's minimal charge to join. If you've got kids or grandkids in the area, what a great place to send them for swimming lessons, and at least get the safety under their belt in a friendly environment, so that they're not scared of the water. They're safe, and they understand the dangers of the water.
Please do.
It's a big deal, and the staff out there is unbelievable at all parks locations. But just to go out to the Aquatic Center and experience that once or twice, I think more people in Northport need to do that. I think it would change some momentum.
Well, I will say we've had a really good summer. So I'm looking forward to sharing some more of those numbers with you, John. But I mean, I cannot give enough kudos. The 8 weeks of summer break here. I mean, our team is open every single day, going 10 to 5. You've got, the lifeguards and the supervisory staff and our concessions. They've been going crazy, and they've had a lot of visitation. So hopefully next month I'll see if I can snag Devon now that we're out of the summer season, or Trish, and have them come on and talk about it. But it's been, it's been a fantastic summer, and they have been super, super busy. But I would still say, if anyone hasn't, this is our last week of summer hours out there. And so we're open daily, starting at 10 a.m. So if you haven't had a chance to yet, get out there. It's 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. But on Friday and Saturday, we're open till 7 p.m. So we have a little extended hours there. So you can get in the last bit of summer fun before school goes back into session. Once school is back in session, many of our lifeguards are students. So we're reverting back to our fall season hours, in which it'll be closed on Mondays. The heated competition pool is open on the weekdays. And then on the weekends, the full facility is open throughout the fall season here.
Well, and it's going to be interesting. I don't even want to call this a true full year of being open for the Aquatic Center, because we still had some COVID effect in there. But I can't wait to start to see, at least the numbers now are going to be more representative of some activity versus an unfair analyzation of the COVID year.
Sure.
You can't judge anything on COVID or the after effects. I think next year, if we can get things to continue to go where they are right now and continue to stay open and see activity. And like I said, even the CDC's trying to figure out a better way for pools, because with the amount of chlorine, and we just didn't have any outbreaks. And I know you can confirm that. You guys worked really hard to make sure things were sterile. And
I mean, to my knowledge, we didn't have any. So, and I can tell you in June alone, I'm getting the final July numbers that are audited here. We should have those in the next week. But in June alone, we had more than 12,000 visitors to that aquatic center. So it's the response has been phenomenal. So I think rumor has it we were creeping towards 20,000 for July. So we'll have to see. But it's a lot of use, and it's a lot of pizza. We've been selling a lot of pizza.
Well, and here's the value in it. The youth in this town, if you don't think that the aquatic center has value, how about let's unleash all those kids in your neighborhood that don't have anything to do, and then you'll all be complaining that all these kids are running the neighborhood causing issues.
Sure.
If we give them things like this to do, it keeps them off the street. It keeps crime rates down. It just keeps the headaches. And I don't want to call kids crime ridden, but they're not. They're bored out of their mind.
Well, and to your point earlier, John, I think the other thing that I always like to stress is the importance of the value of life, right? If you have a community like ours that has more than 80 miles of freshwater canals and lots of pools and a lot of water, water safety and the importance of being safer in, on, and around the water cannot be stressed enough. So we have a great Learn to Swim program. Anyone who is perhaps, money might be a barrier or something that's in the way, please know that we have a youth scholarship program. So anyone who wants to learn to swim, we have had very generous members of our community make donations to that program, and you can apply. It's a very simple process. It's available online. It's cityonorthport.com/youth scholarship. And you can go out there and submit your application, and that can be utilized for Learn to Swim lessons. It can also be utilized for programs such as our summer winter camps or other recreational activities that perhaps you need some assistance in joining. But we're very fortunate to have members of our community, such as, Publix and the Rotary Club and others who have seen the importance of water safety and want to be involved and have taken steps to make that possible.
Yep.
So,
and I saw the one flyer he just put up there.
I know Halloween tea time.
It's in October, right?
It is.
So we have plenty of time to get this out, but go ahead.
We'll chat about it. But if you want to go to a Halloween tea party,
2 minutes.
2 minutes. Oh my gosh. Back to school. We're going back to school, so get ready for that. If you, like I said, I mentioned DeFi. If you're not familiar with the programs there and you have I have a new high schooler, so make sure you bring them by the Morgan, see if you can get them signed up for DeFi, and ask the staff there about, what they need to know. What are the rules? How can you be checked in and out? And then the last thing I want to hit, there's a dive-in movie, August 21st. The movie is Moana, and the deadline to pre-register is tomorrow by the end of the day. So if you need help with that, give us a call, 941-429-7275. You're going to sit in a little float in the pool and watch Moana. It'll be fun.
That is awesome.
Yes.
Do they have to bring their own float, or do they?
No, we'll provide them on a first-come, first-served basis. So
how about that?
Available.
That's awesome. I wish my granddaughter was down here. I'd be bringing her to that.
Well, if you want to borrow one of my kids, I loan them by the hour. So.
Oh my gosh! And you'll probably charge me.
And then concert in the park. We have a free concert in the park coming up. It's Tropical Avenue. We have the flyer up, and I'm going blind.
And Tropical Avenue is fantastic.
September 24th, 7:00, City Center Front Green. There, it's free admission, free parking. There will be food trucks available on site, and the Rotary Club will be having adult beverages available for purchase. So bring your cards or your cash and come hungry, and join us to dance the night away.
And they're fantastic. Great group. Group.
Yeah, we're excited about it. It'll be a good one.
Great group. They really are. They're fantastic.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you being on today.
Thank you for the time, John.
Yep, I look forward to seeing you in a month, and let's hopefully getting some real good numbers back from the Aquatic Center. I look forward to that, and I hope you have a great turnout for the free day at Warm River Springs on the 14th. So have a good day. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, John.
Bye-bye now.